What's up, Creepyheads? I'm gonna play this game. Y'all can watch if you want to. I'm just messing around right now. Let's check it out. I love this music. Excuse me. I think I'm gonna light a doobie right quick before I push new game. Let's do water.
I hope my son's antics don't disturb you.
Madam, were it in my power to sentence him to 30 days hard labor, they would not disturb me in the slightest.
Smashing day for it. On holiday?
No.
Oh, Leslie. It isn't true. Oh, beg pardon, ma'am.
Miss.
Yes, of course. Yes. Have to be, wouldn't it? Damn fool. I suppose I'll be expected to tend to his wounds after he piles up, if I don't feel that. No one injured. No apparent damage to the car. Young fool must lead a charmed life. That's the lot. My money's on the servants. The servant's usually always the guilty one in the end. Welcome to Sticklehaven, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Davis, the harbour master. Sorry. Waiting for me.
That's everyone then. The other bags are already on board the boat there.
Blimey. It must be him. In the flesh.
All set, Naracot.
Ready, sir.
Right. I'll leave it to you then. Sea's calm. Should be a pleasant crossing. If you leave now, there's a squall coming. I can smell it.
Why is it called Shipwreck Island?
Well, the weather can turn nasty quickly. There are many submerged rocks, lots of wrecks hereabouts, and that big rock at the tip is said to resemble a beached schooner. The locals call it Ship Rock.
You're not from around these parts, then, Mr. Narracott?
No, sir, I'm not.
It'll never work.
If you would be so good as to follow that path up to the house, my wife will show you to your rooms. I expect you'd all like to freshen up after your journey. Where's Fred?
Under the weather. I took his place.
You'd be the brother then. I see the resemblance. Will you help me with the bags?
Yes. I've been hoping to get a look at the house.
Anybody likes classic, great movies, this is a absolute
Chapter
awesome
1.
movie.
10 little sailor boys went out to dine. One choked his little self, and then there were 9.
Thank you for your assistance, Mr. Narracott. Everything and everyone nicely in place. I must say I don't much like these clouds. I expect you should be heading back without delay.
They don't tell me what
Now
to do,
it
but
begins. Don't worry, Fred. I won't let you down.
don't worry, Fred.
Yeah, just a drizzle. It's going to get much worse.
Fred. It's just a drizzle. Let's go back and see what it says. Hello, Mr.
The time for
Narracott.
talk has passed.
The time for talk is past. Alright, we gotta go back to the boat. Let's go down this path. Gotta look at the boat.
Someone wrecked my boat. Fred won't be too happy about this.
Fred wouldn't be too happy about this. This is a really cool game. I've played it, beat it like 4 or 5 times.
Mr. Narracott, why are you still on the island?
Someone scuttled my boat.
Scuttled? Wrecked, you mean? But who on earth would do such a thing?
I intend to find out.
But that means who will come for us on Monday?
Unless this storm lets up, no one.
Dear me, dear me. Come in, come in. You'll catch your death out here. I must help my wife prepare dinner. I'll have her fix you up something in the kitchen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Narracott.
Where he's going to sleep, I'll never know. Ethel won't like this one bit.
Let's see, let's grab this cane. Look at the picture.
It's an albatross. I can't
an
say I'm
albatross.
particularly fond of the painting. The subject matter doesn't interest me.
Well, then let's just go over here. Okay. We'll look down here for something we can grab.
No need to call unnecessary attention
Cheers,
to my
Freddy
snooping.
Bricks.
I don't need to lug this around with me. I shouldn't do that.
I shouldn't do that.
I need to have my wits about me.
I need to have my wits about. Alright. Well, they ain't gonna let us drink, so. Grab that little matchbook. Much love, Freddy Bricks. Much creepy love to you, brother.
I copied the contents into my notebook.
You want me to say it for you? 10 little... No, they'll say it along as we go. I won't ruin the surprise. Thanks for stopping by, Freddy Bricks Music. Anybody else comes by, go sub up to Freddy Bricks Music.
It's got
Show
power,
him some love.
but it still doesn't seem to be working.
Some power, but it still needs to be working. What should we do? Let's go back. Sometimes I forget what to do. I ain't played this in a long time. That's what I like to do. I just like to go around trying to
10 little sailor boys. Charming.
get everything that I can right off. Let's look at this cabinet over here. Flashlight. Go back through here. Alright, let's go this way. Yeah.
You're shot, Judge.
Yes. You haven't left me much, I confess.
I knew judges listened to confessions. I never knew they made them as well.
Oh, some judges may have cause. Some doctors as well, I expect.
May I interrupt for a moment?
I can't talk and play, Mr. Narracott. Right now, I prefer to play.
May I ask you a question?
Not now, man. Can't you see we're busy?
Not now, man.
May I ask you a question?
You'll spoil the shot if you're not careful.
You know what then? I won't ask you nothing.
I can't open it. It's locked.
It's locked.
It's tightly locked.
It's tightly locked. I think we need to go back upstairs. Try all the doors. Get these papers. Oh, this is all your stuff that we're working on. Oh, we need to go to the kitchen.
Nothing out of order in here. I'd best not take anything, though. I'm sure he would notice.
Go back to the bathroom.
It's locked fast. Locked.
Locked.
It's locked fast. I can't open it. It's locked.
My wife is indisposed, not receiving visitors today.
Your wife, sir?
What?
Your wife?
My wife? Yes. Leslie. I'm sorry, my boy. I was wool gathering miles away. My apologies. Must dress for dinner now. Send my orderly to me if you will. No, that's not right. What was I thinking? I must get ready for dinner now.
Yes? Oh, Mr. Narracott, I had a question for you. Have you heard anything in Sticklehaven about this house being set up as a guest house?
No, Miss Brent.
No. Mrs. Rogers hasn't either. And who are the Owens?
I haven't met them yet.
Would it surprise you to learn neither have Mr. and Mrs. Rogers? It's odd. Very odd.
Very
If
odd.
you'll excuse me, Mr. Narracott, I must make dinner preparations.
Well, why don't you just go and do that?
Oh, Mr. Narracott, I thought that you'd left us.
Someone scuttled my boat.
Scuttled
But
it.
that's dreadful. Surely the harbour master will send another boat when you're missed.
Not in this storm, I'm afraid. And even then, it won't be reported.
Why ever not?
My brother. He knew I might not be immediately back.
I'm terribly sorry for your trouble. The Owens should be arriving shortly. I'm sure you can get a ride back in that boat. If you'll excuse me, I must get ready for dinner.
He's packing.
Narracott? I thought you'd be long gone by now. That storm's getting pretty fierce. Somebody scuttled my boat. I saw Blore watching you like a hawk eyes its dinner. Could it have been him? Possibly. Any idea why? I'd rather not say. Suit yourself. I'd better get ready for dinner.
Once a bent copper, always a bent copper.
Always the bent copper.
Right, Fred?
You're talking through your hat.
Right,
You were
Fred?
the cell gang's inside
Freddie
man of the
Bricks.
force, not my brother.
Your brother? Don't try to kid me, Fred. There's still a handsome reward out for you.
Fred is my brother. I'm Patrick Fane.
No reason for me to believe you that I can see. There's still a big reward out for Fred Fane.
You scuttled my boat to trap me here.
You recognized me, too. I saw it in your eyes.
Only because Davis showed Fred the passenger list yesterday. I came in my brother's place. We didn't think you might mistake me for him. Fred is 8 years older than me. Look closely, Blore.
You do look young. I noticed that. Thought it must be the sea air.
You were taking the Purcell's bribes for years. After the Landor case, people began to ask questions. The Purcells needed what the Yank detective novels call a fall guy. My brother was framed. You were in the clear.
Your whole story sounds like a detective novel.
I've never stopped trying to clear Fred's name and put you in Dartmoor prison where you belong. Thanks to your greed, I may now have that chance.
Maybe you're Patrick, maybe
Whoop,
you're Fred.
whoop.
I don't know, and I don't much care.
What's up, fam?
You're either a criminal,
J-Town
or you've
Juggalo
been
in the
harboring
house.
one all these years. I wonder what my fellow guests will think of that. Go on, Mr. Narracott. Hop in.
I'm just playing this game,
I need
bro.
to prepare for dinner. Leave before I remove you
Leave before
myself.
I remove you myself. You ain't gonna do shit, motherfucker.
It's locked
It's
fast.
locked. Locked. What you up to, J-Town? Yeah, I done been in here. That's what's up. Chilling with the family. Doing the family thing. Much respect for that, brother. I'm just trying out this game thing. Everybody's doing all these new PlayStation and Xbox games. I just pulled out one of these old computer games I played all the time. See how it works out. It's Agatha Christie's, and then there were none. That's a badass movie if you like classic movies and mysteries. Damn it, I don't want to go that way. Go the other way.
It'll never work, I tell you. We should never have agreed. A house party only a week after we arrive? And no other help?
Ethel, calm yourself.
You promised me. Never again, you said.
How was I to know? Oh, Mr. Narracott. Ethel will be preparing you a meal in here once the guests are served.
I appreciate you stopping by, J-Town.
Mr. Rogers, I was wondering if I might have a word.
Perhaps you'd find one of the guests with more free time to chat. None of them are doing any work.
Take that basket. No, yeah. No, don't go out there yet. We still got shit to get. Shit to get. Let's go to the larder. Larder cop. No, let's get this turkey baster.
No need to call unnecessary attention to my snooping.
Hey, don't tell me what to do. You just do what I say. I'm the
I don't need to lug this around with me.
You'll lug what I tell you to.
It's a full sack of flour.
No shit. Let's see. Let's go up here. We gotta dig. We got the flour. Now dig again. No. Open that back.
There are some batteries buried under here.
There were some batteries. Said You're welcome, fam. I'm good, just ready for bed. Yeah, man, I can't only hardly keep my eyes open. I'm gonna try to make it through one chapter of this and then probably do another chapter tomorrow. We take these batteries and we put it in this flash. Look, we put it down here. Get this flashlight.
Let's hope that holds.
Let's hope that holds. All right. See, I think that's all we got in there.
It's a press. Looks like it can hold quite a large amount of fruit.
No, man, not that. I hate hitting the wrong thing. And one of the reasons I like this game, because all you gotta use is the mouse. I ain't gotta use the keyboard or nothing. It's just a point and click. It's fun though, I like it. I like the mystery. I love the music behind it. Have a good night, Ninja. Much motherfucking creepy clown love. Woo woo. Yeah, it's wicked. I like saying creepy though. It's all gravy. It's for creepy. Cricket. You have a good night too, brother. Don't work too hard, man. I ain't seen you on here in a while. You must be working like I have too. I try to
Would you just look at all these silk sheets?
get on
All
here as much as I
embroidered
can.
GS. I'll bet that was that actress who used to live here.
I might live stream
Drop them on this
from the
filthy
apartment
floor.
when I paint it. Tuesday, I believe. Either Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know. I'll shoot you a message on here and let you know. Hey, it is fun, man. It's real worth it. I'd recommend it if you like these kind of games.
Can I give you a hand, Mrs. Rogers?
Thank you, Mr. Narracott. You seem like a good sort. I'm sorry for your boat.
Sorry for your boat.
That sounds like the dinner bell.
Uh-oh.
Mr. Narracott, unfortunately, we are not prepared for your presence
What?
at dinner.
I don't get no food?
I would be most happy to deliver you a sandwich later this evening, if that will do.
That will be fine, Rogers.
That will
Thank
be
you.
fine, Rogers. Bring me a sandwich.
Now, if you will excuse me, I must get to serving.
By all means. I can hear them all in the dining room chattering. I can't quite make out what they're saying. This might be a good time to explore the house more thoroughly.
Now I gotta go back and look into the house again.
Aha! With my ear against the door, conversation becomes quite clear.
Wine,
Oh,
doctor?
No, thank you, Rogers. I never touch alcohol. Except for sterilizing wounds or instruments, of course.
I tried to collect some apples from an orchard on the island, but a bee stung me. I'm afraid I dropped the basket and ran. No need to apologize. I myself am dreadfully allergic to bees, wasps, hornets. I'm sorry to hear there are bees here. Oh, you must take care. There's all sorts of those bee house things. What do you call it? An apiary. Oh, I thought that was for monkeys.
Ethel.
Miss Claythorne, we've never met, but I do seem to recall your name. Oh? Yes. From when I stayed at that stuffy old hotel near St. Trednick. Do you know it? No. No, I don't think so. Really? How extraordinary. I was so shocked.
Narracott says he's not Fred Fane, but his brother. It may well be.
Fred
Any fans
Fane,
watching?
Red Fred.
Seems like such a nice man.
They said the same thing about Stevenson, the child murderer. I confess I've never met our host, Mr. Owen. kind of a man is he? Rogers?
We haven't seen the Owens either, sir. We were only engaged a week ago by letter and asked to make the house ready.
So no one has actually met the Owens.
How extraordinary. I, for one, will have some sharp questions for the Owens when they do arrive.
I should come back later, when the conversation has progressed some. These are very expensive linens.
Yeah, I'll
I
take
bet they're
these
very
sheets.
strong.
I can get some money for this. Take that pouch.
I don't need it. I'm no pack rat.
You'll take it if I say get it. I don't want the ashtray anyway. Hey man, go back.
It's a marble sculpture of an elephant.
Perfect murder weapon. Just take that. I'll take these shoes.
It would certainly be noticed if I rifled through his luggage. I better not.
Mother. Fucker. Already been in here. Did you get your roll of tape? Let's see. Nope. We gotta get them tapes. Where's the tape at? Oh, okay. I think I remember. Nope, never been in here. Walk through your bathroom. Take this letter. It's
A radiator. You can't have
Uncomfortable
enough of them,
really. Alright, got a couple more rooms to look through. Gotta get through this other door. Yeah. Take that letter. Nope. Man, you clicked it again. What the hell's up with you, finger?
That's an interesting clock. A shame it doesn't seem to work.
How you know you're all the way on the other side of the room? Newspaper clipping.
This is a fairly sparse makeup case. Vera isn't the type to use much makeup, though.
It don't look like it. That's just why she got that big ass box for that little bitty makeup. Oh, do I need? Yeah. I think something's telling me to go out there. Aha. Shiki sheen. Shiki sheen. Got that.
A hawk with a fish in its talons. The bird theme is starting to get to me.
Bird thing is starting to get to me. Letter. Book.
This is quite a makeup supply.
This is quite a makeup.
Emily must
Looks
be
like a
more
tackle
concerned
box.
with aging than she lets on.
Say, hey, that's makeup. Could be like a tackle box because it's fishing for men, for women. When they put makeup on, I reckon. Nice little analogy there. Close that. I gotta do something real quick.
Nothing else to see about that. Some things once done cannot be undone. I copied the contents into my notebook. I copied the contents into my notebook.
Copy all these contents in these notebooks.
I copied the contents into my notebook. I copied the contents into my notebook.
You're supposed to do that when you.
I copied the contents into my notebook.
But
I transcribed the pertinent passages in my notebook.
passages.
I copied the contents into my notebook. I copied the contents into my notebook.
See if we can walk to the bathroom. Motherfucking mosquito right there. Somebody left the back door open earlier. Man, I done been in this room. We went the wrong way. There we go. Now you're cooking with butter. Basically, you just gotta go around and
Nothing else to see about that.
gather up all your stuff that you need. See, I need some. There's a roll of tape you gotta get from somewhere. You gotta take fingerprints on them bags. I know that. Where's the goddamn tape? I want to say it's in this room. I wonder if I can get in there now. Yeah, this room right here.
It's a book holder. Seems like a long time since it's been used.
Rubber stamp. Yeah, there's my tape.
The drawer is locked.
I'll take that. I can get some money for this. Officer, can I get a red balls? There's a key for this right here.
The drawer is locked.
Somewhere. It's a secret in the game. I'll show you about it later when we get to it. Alright, now. Oh, no. Let's go right here. We at these books.
Wargrave on justice. I can only imagine the egotism that lurks within those pages.
Oh yeah, wrong bookcase. Now we. No.
I think I heard a click. I could be imagining it, though.
I do believe I heard your click too.
I think I heard a click. I could be imagining it, though.
Secret door. Boom, boom, boom. Let me do this right quick.
This bears a closer look.
This bears a closer look.
Property of Teresa Robson. I transcribed the interesting passages into my notebook. I copied the contents into my notebook. This could use a closer look. Rule Britannia, Britannia rule the waves. Britons never will be slaves. Oh, makes the eyes water a bit.
I'll play that again for my English friends watching.
Rule Britannia, Britannia rule the waves. Britons never will be slaves. Oh, makes the eyes water a bit. It's a shortwave radio. It could be useful if I could get it working. It seems to be missing quite a few parts.
Get back in the way, don't you?
That doesn't make sense. There. Back to their original state. That doesn't make sense.
This doesn't make sense. Damn. I forgot to get.
It's a shortwave radio. It could be useful if I could get it working. It seems to be missing quite a few parts.
Yeah, I know that.
Interesting ashtray. Birds everywhere. It's got power, but it still doesn't seem to be working.
Supposed to be a record player right there. I'm supposed to get the fuses from.
It's tightly locked. Interesting ashtray. Birds everywhere.
Kind of a bitch.
It would certainly be noticed if I rifled through his luggage. I better not.
Luggage. So this is what I need a tape for. Wait a minute. Put the flower.
Excellent, like hand in glove. The flower stuck to bits of it.
Now.
This is a good reference print for Dr. Armstrong.
You get fingerprints. Ta-da!
I can't get them to fit. There is no cause for that. I can't get them to fit.
Sometime you do. Don't give me your bull crap.
It would certainly be noticed if I rifled through his luggage. I better not.
Luggage. It would certainly be noticed.
Polished marble spheres and some books. Nothing worth investigating further. I don't think going through that would help. Either he's innocent, in which case I'd be grossly invading his privacy, or he's guilty, and surely wouldn't be daft enough to leave any evidence in his luggage.
Not this room again, damn it. I'm either high or tired or both. I'm trying to get through this chapter.
The flower stuck to bits of it. This is a good reference print for Miss Claythorne. Not that I think she's capable of murder. The flower stuck to bits of it. This is a good reference print for Miss Brent. It appears to be a portrait of the general. Must be quite old. He's standing with a very young woman. It's signed, "To John, my husband, Leslie." The flower stuck to bits of it. This is a good reference print for Mr. Marston.
I knew I forgot something.
I copied the contents into my notebook. Let me examine this further.
Yeah, it was a clue to help me find the
I copied the contents into my
flashlight
notebook.
and the battery.
This bears a closer look. This could use a closer look.
Map of the island.
Let me examine this further. That came apart rather easily.
No. I want to go to the kitchen. No, you crack. Listen to these birds for
With my
the
ear
wall.
against the door, conversation becomes quite clear.
Did anyone else see the poem over the fireplace?
10 little sailor boys. Yes, I saw it.
And here before us as the centerpiece of our table are the 10 little sailor boys themselves, all looking correct and polished.
I like a neat and tidy house, Your Honor.
Robson, the man who built this house, was a sailor. Perhaps Mr. Owen inherited them from him. Another question for Mr. Owen.
I remember the rhyme was about soldier boys. Highly inappropriate, as I recall.
There are many variations.
You seem to know quite a bit about it, Miss Claythorne.
I was a governess before seeking secretarial work. Governesses spend a lot of time with nursery rhymes.
All gratuitously gruesome, if you ask me. So much violence in the world today.
Sometimes violence is necessary, Miss Brent.
There speaks a soldier for you.
A realist, Miss Brent, not a dreamer. If action needs to be taken, I, for one, am fully prepared to take it.
How does the famous rhyme go, Miss Claythorne?
Must we harp on this topic at dinner? Miss Brent may be right, Mr. Marston. The rhyme is a bit gruesome. It's there over the fireplace in the parlour if you care to have a look later.
If you think so. Excellent meal, Rogers. My compliments to both you and your good woman. You've done your employers proud.
Thank you, sir, ladies and gentlemen. Most gratifying, I'm sure. After dinner, drinks will be served in the front parlour.
Ladies and gentlemen, silence, please. This is your host, UN Owen. You are charged with the following indictments. Edward George Armstrong, that you did upon the 14th day of March 1925 cause the death of Louisa Mary Cleese. Emily Caroline Brent, that upon the 5th of November 1931 you were responsible for the death of Beatrice Taylor. William Henry Blore, that you brought about the death of James Stephen Landor on October 10th, 1928. Vera Elizabeth Claythorne, that on the 11th day of August 1935 you killed Cyril Ogilvy Hamilton. Philip Lombard, that upon a date in February 1932 you were guilty of the death of 21 men, members of an East African tribe. John Gordon Mackenzie, that on the 4th of January 1917 you deliberately sent your wife's lover Arthur Richmond to his death. Anthony James Marston, that upon the 14th day of November last you were guilty of the murder of John and Lucy Combs. Thomas Rogers and Ethel Rogers, that on the 6th of May 1929 you brought about the death of Jennifer Brady. Lawrence John Wargrave, that upon the 10th day of June 1934 you were guilty of the murder of Edward Seaton. Prisoners at the bar, have you anything to say in your defense?
Doctor, I only fainted, Rogers. I'm sure she'll be fine. Narracott, you get my bag from my room?
Yes, of course.
Stout fellow. Marston, in a moment I'll want help to get her to her room. Of course. Behind the kitchen, is it, Rogers?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You can use that door.
There we go. I went to the wrong door. Damn it. No, man, not that one. fool me.
Perhaps we can talk later. For now, I must see to my patient.
I was trying to give you your bag, doofus.
Thank you, Mr. Narracott. I am in your debt.
I'll give you some money.
Perhaps we can talk later. For now, I must see to my patient.
Now, Rogers, tell us about that extraordinary voice.
It was Mr. Owen, sir. In his letter, he wrote to me to put it on the gramophone once you were all settled in here after dinner.
That was Mr. Owen's voice?
You doubt that it was?
No. I thought I recognized it. I'm sure I'm mistaken.
A disgraceful practical joke.
You think it was a joke?
What else could it be?
I will need to hear more evidence before offering an opinion.
Mr. Marston and I carried Mrs. Rogers to her room. I gave her a mild sedative. She's resting comfortably.
Whoever it was on that recording, that person knows or has taken the trouble to find out a good deal about us all. He was correct about Seton. I presided at the trial, but all I did was execute a guilty man.
I remember the case. As I recall, there was some talk.
Happily, guilt and innocence are decided by those of us qualified to make a judgment, not by gossip. Of course, there is one omission in that recording. Mr. Narracott, of course. Although to hear Mr. Blore tell it, he might have earned a place on that list had Mr. Owen been so inclined.
I can't take that apart. Let me examine this further. I wonder what's recorded on this side. That isn't such a good idea. I don't think that's appropriate.
Why? Oh.
I'm pleased to see at least one of you has thought to turn the record over. Any good house party should include party games. This weekend is no exception. I have devised several little games of the mind to challenge your wits, and I hope you find the rewards for each to be worth the effort. You'll have to discover my little amusements on your own, however. I've scattered them all over this delightful island retreat. I hope that you will find them suitably entertaining.
Suitably entertaining. Take the bitches back. Now, we gotta go talk to these people. Talk to the peeps.
Any truth to the accusation against you? It's a matter of interpretation, you understand. But I'd have to say, yes. Will you tell me how it happened? Elderly. Poor devil. I'd been up all night with an emergency case. My nerves were shot. hands shaking. But I had to operate. I had to try and save her. I had a pick-me-up or two to steady myself, but I bungled it. It wasn't the drink, I swear. It was an accident. Could have happened to anyone in my profession.
What was the gossip concerning the Seaton case?
I'm not one to spread gossip to just anyone about a man as distinguished as Justice Wargrave. If I was certain about it, perhaps. But
Perhaps. Perhaps not.
What brought you here to Shipwreck Island?
Owen sent me a note, asking me to have a look at his wife, who's been suffering from arthritis and muscle spasms.
Good evening, Doctor. What brought you here to Shipwreck Island?
Got a wire from a pal of mine, Badger Barker. Surprised me at the time because I had an idea the old horse had gone to Norway. Told me to roll up here.
Any truth to the accusation against you?
The name sounded vaguely familiar. I expect it will come to me.
That will be all, Marston. Any truth to the accusation against you?
There isn't a word of truth in it. Miss Brady was always in poor health. Always. From the time we came to her.
Will you tell me how it happened?
There was a storm, as fierce as the one brewing outside right now when she was taken bad. The telephone was out of order. I went for the doctor on foot, but he got there too late.
Were you mentioned in the will?
Barely. Certainly not what we were led to believe. She was just saying it, you see, to ensure our devotion to her. Beg pardon. I'm not sure what came over me just then. The strain of tonight, I expect, and worry over Mrs. Rogers, of course.
What brought you here to Shipwreck Island?
Isn't that obvious, sir? My wife and I were hired through an agency in Plymouth. Manservant, housekeeper, cook. That's what we are.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
I shouldn't do that. I need to have my wits about me.
Hello, Judge.
Any truth to the accusation against you?
I remember Seaton perfectly well. Playwright, not a very good one. Charged with the murder of a chorus girl. He was very ably defended and made a good impression on the jury. Nevertheless, it was clear to me he'd done it.
I appreciate your candor, Judge. Any truth to the accusation against you?
About that child, Cyril Hamilton. I was nursery governess to him.
Will you tell me how it happened?
I'd like to tell you. Cyril was forbidden to swim out far. One day, my attention was distracted. I couldn't get there in time. It was awful. But it wasn't my fault. At the inquest, the coroner exonerated me. Oh, and his mother. She was so kind. If she didn't blame me, why should this awful thing be said?
Are you sure you're telling me everything?
I'm telling you all I'm going to, Mr. Narracott.
What brought you here to Shipwreck Island?
I was engaged through an agency to be Mrs. Owen's secretary. Nothing remarkable in that, is there?
Much obliged for your assistance, Miss Claythorne. Any truth to the accusation against you?
Fellow got hold of a detestable rumor, nothing more. Richmond was one of my officers. I sent him on a reconnaissance. He was killed. Natural course of events in wartime.
Good evening, General. Interesting history Shipwreck Island has. I studied up on it before I came down.
What are the names of those two people I'm accused of killing?
John and Lucy Combs. I made a note of it.
Must have been a couple of kids I ran over near Cambridge. Beastly bad luck.
For them or for you?
Well, I was thinking for me, but of course you're right, sir. It was damned bad luck on them. Of course, it was a pure accident. They rushed out of some cottage or other. Beastly nuisance. English roads are hopeless, of course. Can't get up a decent pace on them. Well, anyway, it wasn't my fault. This man is dead.
Do you think it was suicide?
You conduct yourself well, Mr. Narracott, if you don't mind my saying so. Mr. Blore has told us that you are not what you appear, yet you told him you were not a detective.
No, sir. But I've read many detective novels. I even had one of those junior detective kits when I was a boy. Magnifying glass, fingerprint powder.
Junior detective kit. Wonderful.
Ah, an amateur sleuth, then. You appear to have something of a gift for it.
About the suicide, Judge.
I'm not yet prepared to offer an opinion.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
I knew his father, the Duke, and his elder brother. Like so many younger sons of his class, Anthony Marston was a bit of a wastrel, as you will have gathered. There were other rumors of late, of his dabbling in politics, but this is not the proper forum for that discussion.
What do you think that record means?
May I answer that in a moment after asking a question of my own?
Of course.
Does anyone know Mr. Owen's full name?
My letter was signed only U.N. Owen.
Yes, U.N. Owen. Or, by a slight stretch of fancy, unknown. I'll now answer your question, Mr. Narracott. The name, the recording, the circumstances under which all but you were lured to this island. I have no doubt in my mind that we have been invited here by a madman, very possibly a dangerous homicidal lunatic.
Why did you retire, Judge?
I know there was talk about my competence, even my ego running wild, but the truth of it is very simple. My health, a lifetime sentencing my fellow man, and now a higher power has passed judgment on me.
I am grateful for your assistance, Judge Wargrave.
Did Marston choke to death? You can call it choking if you like. He died of asphyxiation right enough.
Was Marston poisoned?
Can't say exactly. Everything points to one of the cyanides. No distinctive smell of prussic acid. Probably potassium cyanide. It acts pretty well instantaneously.
Was there something in the whiskey?
Yes, without a doubt.
Do you think it was suicide?
Seems like it.
Could he have been murdered?
Not my line of country. I'm a doctor, not a detective.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
Not I, personally or professionally.
What do you think that record means?
A disgraceful and heartless practical joke, I suppose.
That is all for now, Dr. Armstrong. Do you think Marston committed suicide?
Hold on.
I shouldn't have said Mr. Marston was a suicidal type of gentleman at all. Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
Never clapped eyes on him. And who gave you the authority to question us?
You're under no obligation to answer me. What do you think that record means?
I don't like it. Not one bit. Very queer, the whole situation.
Good evening, Mr. Blore. I overheard you mention St. Trednick to Miss Claythorne.
I was staying at a seaside hotel near St. Trednick this same week of August 4 years ago. That boy Cyril Hamilton drowned near there. It was the talk of the town. His half-brother was much older. Hugo, I think his name was. Cyril was a vile child, by all accounts, but first in line for the family title and estates. When he died, it all went to Hugo. He was just about Miss Claythorne's age. There was talk of something between them.
You're suggesting Vera let the boy drown so the man she loved could inherit?
That would be idle gossip. I don't indulge in idle gossip. I've only told you the facts of the case as I remember them.
What do you think that record means?
There is something very peculiar about it.
Do you think Marston committed suicide?
Yes. In my experience, certain types of individuals, when faced with their sin, will then commit the greater one.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
No.
Good evening to you, Miss Brent. Do you think Marston committed suicide? He didn't seem particularly remorseful. Of course, the record might have set him off somehow. A new incident long after the fact may create a strong feeling of guilt or fear. Wouldn't you say, Doctor?
Possible. Quite possible.
What do you think that record means?
Record.
There is something wrong with this entire weekend, and especially with our host, Mr. Owen.
I believe we're all coming around to that conclusion.
Yes, but I know something you don't, Judge.
What is that?
I recognize the voice on that recording, and it was definitely not Mr. Owen. Who was it? Not so fast, Narracott. Not until I think things through a bit more. Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
Yeah.
Heard of him, but we'd never crossed paths or swords. Thanks for your time, Mr. Long.
Never crossed paths.
You seem to be a remarkably perceptive girl, Miss Claythorne.
Are
Why,
you
thank
flirting
you,
with
Mr.
me?
Narracott.
Is there anything you can tell me about our fellow castaways?
Castaways. You make it sound so...
Romantic?
I was going to say dramatic.
Pornographic.
Let me see. No one has confided any secrets to me, I'm afraid. Oh, except one.
That is...
I really don't know you well enough to answer you.
You gotta buy me a drink at least.
Do you think Marston committed suicide?
You'd never think he would kill himself. He was so alive. When he came down that hill in his car, he looked... Oh, I can't explain.
What do you think that record means?
It was unfair, what it said. Very unfair.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
No, I'm sure I would have remembered.
Steady, Miss Claythorne. Lad had his faults, you know. Thank you for your time, Miss Claythorne. Do you think it was suicide?
How dare you? My wife died of natural causes, sir. A long illness, nothing more.
I meant Marston.
Marston? No other in him that I could see.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
No, I don't think so. Not a military man, I'd wager. Lombard now. He reminds me of someone from my command. But the name wasn't Lombard.
What do you think that record means?
Ugly. After 30 years. Ugly thing to say.
Good evening, General.
Where have you been, Rogers?
I went to check on my wife, sir. She is resting comfortably. But I'm afraid I have some distressing news.
Oh?
One of the china figures of a sailor boy has been broken off.
Chapter 2.
Uh-oh.
9 little sailor boys sat up very late. One overslept himself, and then there were 8.
Chapter 2. I said I was gonna stop. But I might keep going one more chapter.
Filthy night. I tried to go out to get some more wood for the fire, but the wind drove me back.
A storm like that will keep us all indoors.
My apologies for the accommodations, Mr. Narracott, but all the beds are taken.
Makes one wonder where the Owens were planning to sleep, doesn't it?
A good servant follows instructions, sir. He does not question his employer, unless you'd like to share the deceased's room with the corpse.
This will do fine. Thank you, Rogers.
I'll wish you a good night then, sir.
That was your preview.
Everyone should be sound asleep by now. Good time for a little stealth work.
That was the preview of chapter 2, which I will pick up tomorrow. I'm gonna end that. I'm gonna save it. Creepy. That's gonna be our file. Alright. That was Agatha Christie's and Then there were none, 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 none. I love that music. I'm gonna turn this around. I'll burn one with you real quick. It is 1:41. I've been going for 1.22 .24. I'm fucking high. Ain't that music great? I want to thank my special guest, J-Town Juggalo, for coming in tonight. And Freddie Bricks Music. I highly recommend this game to anybody who likes mystery. Hell, anybody who likes Agatha Christie's novels. Mysteries. I don't know if it's called a novel. I don't know if it is a novel. I better if I would have wrote Subfest in the title, more people would come up. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just play the game while everybody comes in and does a little something. So mine's a wrench-free zone. I'm the only one with a crown. I'm the only one with the crown in mine because I ain't got a laptop yet to give anybody a wrench. I'm the king of the stream. Alright, too much of it all. Too much of it is get on your nerves. Let me show you something. This right here is my music, what I make my beats and stuff on. Let's see. We'll do that another time. I'm gonna end this. Stay tuned. I'm pretty sure it'll be tomorrow. We'll go back into Agatha Christie's, and then there were none. Chapter 2. So until then, stay creepy. Remember, the creepy is growing. Always. Later, Creepyhead. Woo woo. Much motherfucking creepy clown love. Shout out to everybody that can stop by. Everybody. See y'all. Later, Creepyheads.